Few sitcoms have been more influential than The Odd Couple. It was so groundbreaking that other shows like 2.5 Men and Frasier have attempted to follow its formula to mirror its success. The story began as a popular play, then became a movie, and later a show. It never blew up in the ratings, but had plenty of devoted fans. Keep watching for huge details you didn't notice in The Odd Couple. Other potential leads. Sitcoms live and die by the chemistry and talent of their cast. It was a struggle to find the right men to portray The Odd Couple, and several talented actors were considered. Art Carney, who originally played Felix on stage, and famous singer and actor Dean Martin were both considered for Felix. After he was cast, Tony Randall wanted Mickey Rooney to play Oscar, and so did Gary Marshall, but John Klugman eventually got the part. The apartment's address. The show mentions several times that Felix and Oscar live at 1049 Park Avenue. This is a real New York City address, and scenes for the opening credits and exterior views were filmed in front of the building that sits there. Fans still visit it, hoping for a glimpse of The Odd Couple, and send mail addressed to the characters. Cartoon connections. The Odd Couple features several actors who went on to become famous voiceover artists. Bill Woodson, who delivered the opening credit narrations, went on to narrate the Super Friends cartoons. It featured several stars of the Peanuts franchise. Pamela Frieden, who played Edna, also voiced Lucy Van Pelt, and Christopher Shea, who played Philip, voiced her brother Linus. The Odd Couple also spawned a short-lived cartoon series. It was called The Oddball Couple and ran in 1975. It followed Spiffy and Fleabag, a dog and cat, who served as analogs for Felix and Oscar. Capitalizing on The Odd Couple's popularity. Almost any show that becomes popular will soon be a target for merchandising and advertising, and The Odd Couple was no exception. Jack Klugman and Tony Randall appeared in a series of commercials for Eagle Snacks, where they exaggerated the stereotypes of their characters but used their real names. Their faces also appeared on a box of the popular board game Challenge Yahtzee. A historic Emmy nomination. The 1980s was a prime time for comforting family sitcoms at the end of the work week. The Odd Couple received an Emmy nod for Outstanding Comedy Series in 1974, but it was the last time a Friday night sitcom ever received the same nomination. The closest one ever came was when Burt Reynolds won a trophy for his part on Evening Shade in 1991. Fighting cancellation. The Odd Couple became a fan favorite, but earned poor ratings and never reached the top 25 of the Nielsen's rating list. It was nearly canceled after the end of every season. Tony continually worried about it going off the air, while Jack tried to calm him down. High-rated summer reruns saved it every time until it was officially canceled after 5 seasons in 1975. Production changes. The first season was filmed in the same apartment as the 1968 Odd Couple movie with one camera and included a laugh track. The entire team wasn't a fan of this setup, but only the lead actors had enough power to make a change. Every other season was filmed with 3 cameras and a live audience. Richard Stahl's 9 characters. Richard Stahl was a famous comedy character actor with dozens of minor roles in sitcoms throughout the 70s and 80s. He appeared on The Odd Couple 9 times as 9 different characters, including a psychiatrist, florist, monk, pet shop salesman, and more. Gay subtext. Producers were concerned the title may lead viewers to believe Oscar and Felix were gay. They added a line to the opening narration that said, "Can 2 divorced men share an apartment without driving each other crazy?" It did the trick, but Tony and Jack would occasionally play into the stereotype by improvising homoerotic dialogue that can be seen in 2005's The Odd Couple outtakes. Tony continued to get questions about the true nature of the characters' relationship even after it went off the air. He said once he took a cab from the airport, and when he explained to the driver that the woman walking into his house was his wife, he acted surprised and said, "I always thought that you and Oscar were, you know." Life imitating art. Many of the main characters' quirks were based on the actors who played them. Jack Klugman and his character Oscar both loved racehorses, and Tony Randall and his character Felix both liked classical music and opera. Oscar's ex-wife Blanche was played by Jack Klugman's wife, Brett Summers, and they separated during the show's run. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First for more. And stick around for more about The Odd Couple. How The Odd Couple Met. Felix and Oscar are considered an odd couple because of how their clashing personalities make it seem as though they never could become friends. There are 3 separate explanations within the show for how it happened. The opening narration claimed they were childhood friends until the word childhood was removed in the third season. The show also mentioned more than once they met in the Army. One episode that served as a reference to the 1957 film 12 Angry Men said they met while serving on the jury of a controversial murder trial. Multiple endings. The show's ending also had more than one potential story option. The final episode fans saw showed Felix and his wife getting remarried and Oscar looking on with approval. Writer Larry Ryan said an alternate ending had Felix remaining unmarried because his obsession over every detail of the wedding made his bride storm out before it happened. The network preferred the latter option because it left the story open-ended, but the creative team insisted on wrapping it up in a satisfying way. The New Odd Couple. The first attempt to reboot The Odd Couple began in 1982, with Desmond Wilson as Oscar and Ron Glass as Felix. It failed to offer anything new and reused scripts from the original series, so it only lasted 18 episodes. Gary Marshall served as a consultant on the 2015 remake that cast Matthew Perry as Oscar and Thomas Lennon as Felix. He appeared in one episode as Oscar's father, Walter, whose name is a tribute to the original Oscar, Walter Matthau, from the 1968 film. The new show managed to become its own entity and add new characters while keeping what made the original great. It lasted for 3 seasons. Neil Simon. Neil Simon wrote the play that The Odd Couple was based on in 1965. It was obviously successful and eventually spawned a movie and a series. The original title for the show was Neil Simon's The Odd Couple. He didn't have faith in it at first and didn't want his name so prominently attached. This led to a name change and a single line in the credits that said the show was based on a play by Neil Simon. But Simon was a fan by the second season. He even appeared in an episode where Oscar and Felix passed by him while walking through New York. Oscar's bedroom. Oscar's bedroom was a haven from his neat freak roommate. Every time the camera shifted to it, the studio audience cracked up. Writer and director Frank Buxton said this was possible because they screened off the set and waited to show the bedroom until the right moment. Guest star problems. ABC wanted high-profile guest stars to boost The Odd Couple's low ratings. Producer Gary Marshall refused 2 of them, Howard Cosell and Bobby Riggs. He felt they were only added to capitalize on their popularity, and chose lesser-known opera singers and ballet dancers instead. Certain guest stars got a surprising reaction. Deacon Jones, a football player for the LA Rams, appeared on the episode Felix's first commercial. He received applause and a standing ovation at first, until he asked his beautiful blonde wife to stand up as well. Because he was black and she was white, it shocked the studio audience. Tennis player Billie Jean King almost refused her guest appearance in The Odd Couple. She originally said yes, but her manager called the next day and said she didn't want to do it. She was hesitant because of her latest victory against Bobby Riggs, who previously appeared on the show, but she was eventually convinced to go on. Klugman and Randall's touching bond. Jack Klugman and Tony Randall worked together for at least 5 years in Broadway and film before filming The Odd Couple. They were more similar than they seemed and always got along. Their bond deepened as they grew older, and Tony even helped Jack through a battle with throat cancer in the final year of his life. Now it's time to hear from you. Which member of The Odd Couple do you relate to the most? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.